The red dawn sky of Kepler 442b burned like fire above the smoking ruins of New Haven Colony. Katie Miller crouched behind a pile of twisted metal that used to be her family's kitchen table. Her small hands pressed against her ears, trying to block out the horrible sounds coming from outside her hiding place. The 8-year-old girl had been hiding for 3 days now. She ate the last of her crackers yesterday and drank the last drops of water from a broken bottle she found. Her stomach hurt with hunger and her throat felt like sandpaper, but she stayed quiet like Daddy had told her to do when the bad aliens came. The Vorthak raiders had come in the night like monsters from her worst nightmares. They were tall and covered in black armor that made them look like giant insects. Their weapons shot red beams that could cut through anything. Katie watched from her bedroom window as they burned down buildings and hurt people. Her parents pushed her into the kitchen closet and told her to stay hidden no matter what happened. That was the last time she saw them. Now the colony was quiet. Too quiet. Katie peeked through a crack in the rubble. Bodies lay scattered in the street like broken dolls. Some were people she knew. Mrs. Adams, who gave her cookies. Mr. Johnson, who fixed their water pump. All gone. Katie started to cry again, but no tears came out. She was too thirsty to cry. Something moved in the distance. Katie's heart jumped with fear. More Vorthak coming back? She pressed herself deeper into her hiding spot and held her breath. But the shapes that appeared were different. They walked upright like people, but their bodies seemed to be made of crystal. Light passed through them, making rainbow colors dance on their skin. They moved slowly and carefully, not like the Vorthak who stomped and smashed everything. One of the crystal beings stopped near Katie's hiding place. It was tall and thin, with long arms and a face that looked almost human except for the large, glowing eyes. The creature tilted its head and made a sound like singing wind chimes. Katie knew she should stay hidden, but something about the sound made her feel less afraid. It was gentle and sad like her mother's lullabies. The crystal being made the chiming sound again, softer this time. Then it spoke in words Katie could almost understand. Small one. The voice was like music mixed with whispers. We know you are there. We will not hurt you. Katie's body shook with fear and hope. Was this real? Were these good aliens? I am Commander Nexus Ka of the Zelani. The being continued. We came here because we felt great sadness from this place. We know the evil ones were here. Katie stayed quiet for another minute. Then hunger and loneliness won over fear. She pushed aside a piece of metal and crawled out of her hiding place. The crystal being stepped back when it saw her. Its glowing eyes grew wider, and it made that wind chime sound again. This time other crystal beings came running over. They all looked at Katie with wonder, like she was something special. A youngling. Another crystal being whispered in that musical voice. A human youngling alive. Katie stood up on shaky legs. She was dirty and scared, but she tried to be brave like her daddy taught her. Are you going to hurt me? She asked in a small voice. Never. Commander Nexus Ka knelt down to Katie's level. Up close she could see that the commander's crystal body had tiny lights moving inside it like fireflies. We are Zelani. We do not hurt others. We protect life. The bad aliens killed everyone, Katie whispered. My mommy and daddy are gone. The commander's lights grew dimmer and all the crystal beings made a low humming sound together. Katie felt the sadness in that sound and somehow it made her feel less alone. We are sorry, small one, Commander Nexus Ka said. The Vorthak are creatures of death. They destroy because it brings them joy. But you survived. You are strong. I'm not strong, Katie said, and finally some tears came. I'm scared and hungry and I don't know what to do. Another crystal being approached. This one had softer features and moved more gently. I am Prism Vel, she said. I have healing knowledge. May I help you? Katie nodded. Prism Vel reached out with one crystal hand and touched Katie's forehead. Immediately Katie felt better. The pain in her stomach went away and her throat didn't hurt anymore. Even some of her sadness seemed to lift. How did you do that? Katie asked with wonder. We can share our energy with other living things, Prism Vel explained. It is our gift. Commander Nexus Ka stood up and spoke to the other Zelani in their chiming language. Katie could tell they were having an important discussion. Some of the crystal beings seemed worried while others nodded in agreement. Finally, the commander turned back to Katie. Small one, we cannot leave you here alone. This world is not safe. The Vorthak may return. Where will I go? Katie asked. She had never been anywhere except New Haven Colony. We will take you to our world. Prismville said gently. You can be safe there. Katie looked around at the ruins of her home. Everything she knew was gone. These crystal beings seemed kind, and they had magical powers that made her feel better. Maybe going with them was the right choice. Will you teach me to make the pretty music sounds? Katie asked. Commander Nexus Ka's lights grew brighter, which Katie somehow knew meant he was happy. We will teach you many things, brave youngling. Our ways, our language, our knowledge. You will be like family to us. As the Zilani prepared their ship for departure, Katie took one last look at New Haven Colony. She said goodbye to her parents and her old life. She didn't know it then, but her rescue would change the entire galaxy. The crystal beings had made their choice. For the first time in their peaceful history, they had interfered in the affairs of other species. They had chosen to save one small human child, and that choice would lead them down a path they never expected. As their ship lifted off from Kepler 442b, carrying Katie toward her new home among the stars, the first seeds of a galactic alliance were planted. It would all begin with kindness toward one frightened little girl who had lost everything but found a new family among the crystal people of Zephyria. Katie's new home on Zephyria was unlike anything she could have imagined. The Zilani homeworld was covered in crystal forests that sang in the wind. Tall spires of living crystal grew from the ground like trees, their surfaces reflecting sunlight in thousands of rainbow patterns. Cities were built into these crystal formations, with homes carved directly into the glowing walls. Prismville and her partner Echo Rim had prepared a special room for Katie in their crystal home. The walls hummed softly with warm light, and they had created furniture sized just for her. A bed made of soft crystal fibers that felt like clouds, a table and chairs that changed colors when she touched them, even a window that could show her pictures of Earth when she felt homesick. This is beautiful, Katie said as she explored her new room. She ran her fingers along the wall and the crystal responded with gentle musical notes. We wanted you to feel welcome, Echo Rim said. His voice was deeper than Prismville's, like the sound of distant thunder made into music. You are the first young one to live in our home. We had to learn what small beings need. Katie had learned that the Zilani only had children once every 100 years, when their entire species came together for something called the Great Harmony. Echo Rim and Prismville had been waiting 30 years for their chance to have a family. Are you sad that I'm not really your child? Katie asked one evening as they shared dinner. The Zilani didn't eat food like humans did. Instead, they absorbed energy from special crystals. But they had learned to make human food for Katie using their crystal technology. Prismville's body glowed brighter with surprise. Not really our child. Katie, you are exactly our child. Family is not about where you come from. Family is about who chooses to love you. Katie smiled at that. She was starting to understand the Zilani way of thinking. They didn't care about differences. They only cared about kindness and taking care of each other. Every day, Katie learned something new. The Zilani taught her their language of light song, where different colors and musical tones carried meaning. She learned to make her own small lights by touching special crystals. She studied their history, their science, and their art. But Katie also taught the Zilani about humans. She showed them how to play games like hide and seek and tag. She taught them human songs and stories. She helped them understand why humans sometimes got angry or sad, emotions the peaceful Zilani rarely experienced. 3 months after Katie arrived on Zephyria, everything changed again. Katie was practicing her light song in the garden when Prismville came running outside. Her crystal body was flashing with urgent colors that Katie had learned meant danger. The warning beacons are singing, Prismville said quickly. Ships are coming to our system. Unknown ships. Echo Rim emerged from their home carrying something Katie had never seen before, a weapon. It looked like a crystal staff that glowed with dangerous energy. I thought Zilani didn't fight, Katie said, frightened by the worried expressions on her adoptive parents' faces. We don't, Echo Rim said grimly. But these may be the same ones who destroyed your colony. The Vorthak, Katie's blood turned cold. The monsters who killed her parents were coming here. To her new home? The sky above Zephyria suddenly filled with dark shapes. Vorthak warships dropped out of hyperspace like black clouds. Their hulls were covered in spikes and weapons, and they moved through space like predators hunting prey. All civilians to the crystal shelters, came an announcement in light song from the Zilani government. This is not a military drill. But as they rushed toward the underground shelters, Katie heard something that made her stop. The sound of human engines, different from the harsh roar of Vorthak ships. "Wait," Katie called to Echo Rim and Prismvel. "Those aren't all Vorthak ships. Some of them are human." High above Zephyria, Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Horizon's Edge. She had come to make peaceful contact with the aliens who had taken a human child. Instead, she found herself in the middle of a battle. "Captain, we've got Vorthak raiders moving to attack the planet," reported her weapons officer, Lieutenant Dan Morris. "Looks like they're trying to finish what they started at Kepler 442b. Captain Hayes had a choice to make. Her orders were to retrieve Katie Miller and avoid conflict with alien species. But she could see defenseless crystal cities on the planet below, and she knew an innocent child was down there somewhere. "All weapons online," she ordered. "We're not letting these raiders hurt anyone else." The space battle above Zephyria was fierce but short. Captain Hayes' ship was joined by 2 Zalani defense vessels, beautiful crystal ships that fired beams of pure energy. Working together, they drove off the Vorthak raiders, but the real surprise came when Captain Hayes landed on Zephyria to meet with the Zalani government. Katie ran up to her, speaking perfect English mixed with musical Zalani phrases. "Captain Hayes, Prismvel and Echo Rim told me about you through the Crystal Network. You came to take me home to Earth, didn't you?" Captain Hayes knelt down to Katie's level. The child looked healthy and happy, clearly well cared for. "I came to make sure you were safe, Katie. The people on Earth have been very worried about you." "I am safe," Katie said confidently. "The Zalani saved me. They're my family now. But I'm still human too. Can't I be both?" That question would echo through the halls of power on Earth for months to come. But first, Captain Hayes had to witness something that would change her understanding of what it meant to be family. Commander Nexus Ka approached with the Zalani High Council. They all glowed with nervous energy as they spoke to Captain Hayes. "Human Captain," Commander Nexus Ka said, "we must speak of important things. The attack today shows that the Vorthak will not stop hunting those we protect. We cannot defend ourselves alone. What are you asking?" Captain Hayes replied. "We want to ask your Earth government for protection," said Supreme Resonance Thren Axis, the leader of the High Council. "In return, we offer our technology, our knowledge, and our loyalty. We want to join the human family as Katie has joined ours." Captain Hayes was stunned. An entire alien civilization wanted to place itself under Earth's protection because they had fallen in love with one human child. Katie took Captain Hayes' hand and Echo Rim's crystal appendage in her other hand. "They protected me when no one else could," she said simply. "Now maybe we can protect them." Looking at the crystal beings who had risked everything to save one frightened child, Captain Hayes realized she was witnessing the beginning of something unprecedented. The first alien species to ask for humanity's protection, not through conquest or force, but through love. The message she would send back to Earth would change everything. The Zalani don't want to be our enemies or our subjects. They want to be our family. 6 months had passed since Captain Hayes first visited Zephyria. Katie was now 9 years old and had grown taller, stronger, and more confident in her new life. She could speak both human English and Zalani light song perfectly. Her human friends back on Earth sent her messages through the quantum communicators, but Zephyria truly felt like home now. The Crystal Forest sang different songs in each season, and Katie had learned to understand what they were saying. Today they sang of danger approaching. Dr. Peter Grant, Earth's best scientist for studying aliens, had come to Zephyria with Captain Hayes to learn about Zalani culture. He spent his days taking notes and asking questions about everything. How did the Zalani grow their crystal cities? How did they make energy from starlight? How did their light song language work? But what fascinated Dr. Grant most was watching Katie with her adoptive family. She was completely comfortable switching between human and Zalani ways of thinking. At breakfast, she might explain human jokes to Echo Rim. By afternoon, she could be teaching other young Zalani how to play human games. "She's becoming something new," Dr. Grant told Captain Hayes as they watched Katie practice combat light songs with Prismvel. "Not just human or Zalani, but both. A bridge between our species. Is that good or bad?" Captain Hayes asked. "I think it might be the most important thing that's ever happened," Dr. Grant replied. Their conversation was interrupted by urgent alarm songs from the crystal warning towers. The beautiful harmonies that usually filled the air became sharp, discordant notes that made everyone stop what they were doing. Commander Nexus Ka's voice reached them through the crystal network. All citizens prepare for attack. Vorthak battle fleet approaching. This time they bring overwhelming force. Katie ran to Captain Hayes and Dr. Grant, her face pale with worry. The crystal network says there are 50 Vorthak ships coming. They want to destroy Zephyria completely, because we helped humans. Captain Hayes activated her communicator to contact her ship. Hayes to Horizon's Edge, what's our tactical situation? Not good, Captain, came the reply from Lieutenant Morris. We count 52 Vorthak vessels, including 3 battle cruisers. They'll be in weapons range in 2 hours. How many Zalani ships can fight? Dr. Grant asked Commander Nexus Ka. Fight? The Crystal Commander's body dimmed with confusion. We do not fight. We have never fought. We do not know how. Katie stepped forward, her young voice carrying surprising authority. Then you have to learn. Right now. Katie's right, Captain Hayes said. Commander, your people have energy weapons. Your ships are fast and maneuverable. You can fight if you choose to. But fighting goes against everything we believe, Prismvel said, her crystal body flickering with internal conflict. We are creatures of peace and harmony. Katie took her adoptive mother's hand. Mama Prismvel, remember what you taught me about protecting family? Sometimes protecting means fighting bad people so good people can be safe. Echo Rim joined them, carrying a crystal weapon like the one he had during the first Vorthak attack. The youngling speaks truth. We chose to protect her. Now we must choose to protect our world. What happened next would be remembered in Zalani history as the day of first violence. For the first time in 10,000 years of recorded history, the Zalani prepared for war. But they learned quickly. Their crystal bodies could channel and focus energy in ways that made their weapons devastatingly effective. Their ships could change shape during battle, becoming more streamlined for speed or broader for defense. Most importantly, their ability to share thoughts through the crystal network meant they could coordinate their attacks perfectly. Katie insisted on staying with the military commanders during the battle. I've seen Vorthak fight before, she said. I know how they move and think. I can help. As the Vorthak fleet approached Zephyria, Katie sat between Captain Hayes and Commander Nexus Ka in the Crystal Command Center. Her small hands touched the communication crystals, allowing her to translate human military tactics into Zalani light song instantly. Tell the crystal fighters to spread out like flower petals, Katie instructed. Don't cluster together like the Vorthak expect. Use the asteroid field to hide and strike fast. The battle began at sunset on Zephyria. The sky filled with streaks of light as ships engaged each other above the crystal forests. Vorthak plasma cannons fired red beams of destruction, while Zalani crystal ships responded with rainbow-colored energy that could slice through metal like paper. Captain Hayes coordinated the human ship's attacks, while Katie helped the Zalani fighters understand concepts like flanking maneuvers and covering fire. Dr. Grant watched in amazement as an entire species learned to fight in real time, guided by a 9-year-old girl who understood both cultures. The turning point came when Katie noticed something the adult commanders missed. The big Vorthak ship in the middle, she said, pointing at the tactical display. It's not shooting at our ships. It's trying to position itself above the Crystal City. Orbital bombardment, Captain Hayes realized with horror. They're going to attack the civilians. Not if we stop them, Katie said with determination that surprised everyone. She turned to Commander Nexus Ka. Tell all the crystal ships to focus their energy beams on that one target. All at once, like the Great Harmony, but for fighting. The Zalani commander hesitated. The energy required would drain all our ships. We would be defenseless afterward. But the city would be safe, Katie replied. And that's what matters. Commander Nexus Ka looked at this human child who had become the heart of their civilization. Then he sent the light song command to all Zalani fighters. All vessels focus fire on the enemy command ship. For the protection of family. 37 crystal ships turned their energy beams toward the Vorthak battlecruiser. The combined assault created a column of pure light that could be seen from the planet's surface. When the light faded, the massive enemy ship was gone. Vaporized completely, the remaining Vorthak ships fled, unwilling to face the devastating new weapon that the peaceful Zalani had created through cooperation and love. As the Crystal Cities sang victory songs across Zephyria, Katie stood with her 2 families, human and Zilani, and realized that everything was about to change again. "We fought," Commander Nexus Ka said, his voice filled with wonder and sadness. "We took life to preserve life." "You chose to protect people you love," Captain Hayes said. "That doesn't make you less peaceful. It makes you strong." Dr. Grant was already taking notes, his scientific mind racing with the implications. "Do you realize what this means? The Zilani just proved that peaceful species can defend themselves when they have proper motivation and guidance. You've changed the balance of power in the galaxy." Katie smiled, though there were tears in her eyes. She was proud of her Zilani family for being so brave. But she also knew that their old way of life was ending. They could never go back to being completely peaceful again. "Does this mean we're not good people anymore?" she asked Prismvel. Her crystal mother's body glowed with warm, loving light. "You are the best of us, little star. You taught us that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stand up to bullies. We are still peaceful people. But now we are peaceful people who will fight to protect what we love." That night, as the victory celebrations continued across the crystal forests, Captain Hayes sent a message back to Earth that would reshape human foreign policy forever. "The Zilani have proven they will fight to defend their family. Since they consider all humans family now, Earth has just gained the most loyal allies in the galaxy." The great crystal chamber at the heart of Zephyria had never hosted anything like this before. Representatives from Earth sat across from the Zilani High Council, with 10-year-old Katie serving as translator between the two species. The chamber's walls pulsed with gentle light, responding to the emotions and thoughts of everyone present. Supreme Resonance. Thren Axis stood at the center of the crystal formation that served as the Zilani government's meeting place. His body glowed with nervous energy as he prepared to make a request that would shock the human delegation. Captain Hayes had been joined by Ambassador Helen Park, Earth's most experienced diplomat, and General Rick Stone, a military strategist who had studied the Zilani battle tactics. They had come expecting to negotiate a simple alliance agreement. They were not prepared for what the Zilani actually wanted. "Honored humans," Supreme Resonance Thren Axis began, his light song automatically translated by Katie into English. "We gather today to discuss the future of our peoples. But first we must speak of what has already changed." Katie stood between the two groups, comfortable in her role as bridge between worlds. She had grown taller and more confident in the year since Captain Hayes first arrived. Her hair was longer now, and she wore clothing that mixed human styles with Zilani crystal jewelry that helped her communicate with their network. "Before Katie came to us," the Supreme Resonance continued, "we believed that peace meant avoiding all conflict. We thought strength was found only in harmony. But this small human taught us something new. She taught us that true peace sometimes requires the courage to fight." General Stone leaned forward with interest. "Are you saying you want military training from Earth?" "No," Supreme Resonance Thren Axis replied, and his next words stunned the human delegation. "We want much more than that. We want to place our entire species under Earth's protection. We want to become part of the human family as Katie became part of ours." Ambassador Park blinked in surprise. "I'm not sure I understand. Are you asking to become a human colony?" "Not a colony," Katie interjected, her young voice carrying surprising authority. "A family. They want Earth to protect them, and they want to help protect Earth too." Echo Rim stepped forward from his position in the crystal circle. "We offer our technology, our knowledge, our loyalty. We ask only that Earth promise to defend our world and our people as we would defend yours." "This is unprecedented," Ambassador Park said softly. "No alien species has ever requested protectorate status with Earth. We've never even considered such arrangements." Supreme Resonance. Threnaxis's body dimmed slightly. "Perhaps we ask too much. But we have seen what the Vorthag do to peaceful worlds. We have learned that kindness alone is not enough to survive in a galaxy full of predators. We need the strength that humans possess." Katie walked over to a special crystal panel and placed her hands on it. Immediately, images appeared in the air above them. Holographic recordings from the Zilani Crystal Network. "Look," Katie said as the images showed the battle for Zephyria. "See how the crystal ships fought alongside Captain Hayes' ship? See how they protected each other? That's what family does." The recordings showed Zilani fighters risking their lives to shield the human vessel from Vorthak fire, while the Horizon's Edge used its superior weapons to clear paths for the crystal ships. It was perfect cooperation born from mutual care and trust. General Stone studied the tactical displays with professional interest. Your crystal technology could revolutionize space combat. Those energy-focusing arrays, the way your ships can reshape themselves, combined with human military doctrine, we could create defense strategies that no aggressive species could overcome. But more than that, Dr. Grant added as he joined the discussion, the Zilani have solved problems we've been working on for decades. Their harmonic energy systems could power our colonies. Their crystal growing techniques could help us build better habitats. They're offering us knowledge that could advance human civilization by centuries. Ambassador Park looked thoughtful. The political implications are staggering. If Earth accepts protectorate status for an alien species, it would fundamentally change our position in the galaxy. We would be taking responsibility not just for human lives, but for an entire alien civilization. Is that a bad thing? Katie asked with the direct honesty that only children possess. It could be dangerous, Ambassador Park replied carefully. Protecting the Zilani means we might have to fight their enemies. It could drag Earth into conflicts we wouldn't otherwise be involved in. Katie's expression grew serious beyond her years. The Vorthak were going to attack human colonies anyway. At least now you'll have friends to help fight them. Supreme Resonance Thrianaxis stepped forward again. We understand the burden we ask you to carry. But consider what we offer in return. Not just our technology or our knowledge, but our absolute loyalty. We will stand with humanity against any threat. We will share our resources with your people. We will teach our children to speak your languages and learn your ways as Katie learned ours. And if other alien species attack Earth? General Stone asked. Would the Zilani fight for us even if it meant breaking your peaceful traditions? The answer came not from the Supreme Resonance, but from Katie herself. They already did, she said simply. They fought the Vorthak to protect me, one human child. Don't you think they would fight to protect all of humanity? The crystal chamber fell silent as both humans and Zilani contemplated the magnitude of what was being proposed. A formal alliance between species was one thing, but this was something entirely different. The Zilani were asking to become part of an extended human family, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. Finally, Ambassador Park spoke. This decision is far beyond my authority to make. I'll need to present your proposal to the Terran Senate and President Santos herself. We understand, Supreme Resonance Thrianaxis said. But while your leaders consider our request, please remember this. Katie Miller was a stranger to us when we found her. She was not our species, not our culture, not our world, but she was a child in need, and that was enough. Now she is as much Zilani as she is human. That is what family means to us. Katie walked over to Captain Hayes and took her hand. Will you help them understand? She asked. The people on Earth, I mean. Will you tell them that the Zilani aren't asking to be saved? They're asking to help save others. Captain Hayes knelt down to Katie's eye level. What do you want, Katie? Do you want to stay here with the Zilani or come back to Earth? Katie smiled, and for a moment she looked exactly like the frightened child who had been found in the ruins of New Haven Colony. But there was wisdom in her eyes now and strength that came from being loved by two different species. I want both, she said. I want to be the bridge between Earth and Zephyria. I want to help humans and Zilani understand each other. I want to make sure that other kids like me never have to hide in ruins while bad aliens hurt their families. As the formal negotiations concluded and preparations began for Katie to address the Terran Senate via quantum communication, Dr. Grant made a note in his research journal. Today I witnessed the birth of something new, not just an alliance between species, but the first step toward a truly multi-species civilization. And it all began with one act of compassion toward one small child. The message that would be sent to Earth was simple but profound. An alien species was asking to join the human family, and a 10-year-old girl who belonged to both worlds would be the one to explain why that was the most important decision humanity would ever make. The Terran Senate chamber had never been so quiet. 200 senators from across human space sat in their seats watching a holographic projection of a 10-year-old girl standing in a crystal chamber billions of miles away. Katie Miller looked small and young, but her voice carried clearly across the interstellar communication link. President Maria Santos sat in the leadership gallery, flanked by her advisors. She had read Ambassador Park's report 3 times, but hearing the proposal directly from the child at the center of it all made everything feel more real and more important. Senators of Earth, Katie began, her hands folded carefully in front of her. Behind her, the crystal walls of Zephyria pulsed with gentle rainbow light. My name is Katie Miller. 3 years ago, the Vorthak destroyed my home and killed my parents. The Zelani found me and gave me a new family. Now they're asking you to let them join our human family too. Senator Carl Webb of Luna Colony leaned forward in his seat. He had been one of the strongest supporters of accepting the Zelani proposal. Katie, can you help us understand why the Zelani want Earth's protection? They have advanced technology and they've proven they can fight. Katie nodded seriously. They can fight when they have to. But fighting makes them sad. They're not warriors like humans can be. They're teachers and artists and scientists. They want someone strong to handle the scary stuff so they can focus on making beautiful things and helping people. But what if accepting them as protectorates draws us into conflicts with other alien species? Asked Senator Nancy Price, leader of the opposition faction. What if other aggressive aliens decide to attack Earth because we're protecting the Zelani? Senator Price, Katie replied with patience beyond her years. The Vorthak were already planning to attack more human colonies. I heard them talking about it when they destroyed New Haven. Bad aliens don't need excuses to hurt people. They do it because they like hurting people. Dr. Grant, who was attending the session as an expert witness, stood to address the Senate. If I may add to Katie's point, our analysis suggests that aggressive species like the Vorthak see peaceful civilizations as easy targets. By allying with species willing to defend themselves, we actually become less attractive targets, not more. President Santos activated her microphone. Katie, I want you to be completely honest with us. Do you think the Zelani would really fight to defend Earth if we were attacked? Katie's expression grew very serious. Mama Prismvel and Daddy Echo Rim would die before they let anyone hurt me. All the Zelani feel that way about me now. If they love one human kid that much, how do you think they feel about all the humans on Earth? The Senate chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as senators discussed Katie's words with their aides. Finally, Senator Webb spoke again. Katie, what do you think Earth should get in return for protecting the Zelani? They're already giving you everything, Katie said simply. Their technology, their knowledge, their friendship. But most important, they're giving you the chance to be the good guys. Earth could be the place that protects peaceful people from bullies. Isn't that what good people do? General Stone, attending as military advisor, stood to present his analysis. The strategic advantages are clear. Zelani crystal technology could advance our defensive capabilities by decades. Their energy systems could power our colonies more efficiently. Their harmonic communication networks could revolutionize how we coordinate across interstellar distances. But beyond the practical benefits, Ambassador Park added, accepting the Zelani sets a precedent that could reshape galactic politics. If Earth becomes known as a protector of peaceful species, we could attract other valuable allies. Senator Price wasn't convinced. And if we fail to protect them? If the Vorthak overwhelm our defenses and destroy Zephyria despite our promises? We would be responsible for the genocide of an entire species. Katie stepped closer to the holographic projector, and her image appeared larger in the Senate chamber. Senator Price, what if your mom and dad were in danger, and someone could help save them but decided not to because it might be risky? How would that make you feel? The directness of the question caught Senator Price off guard. That's an emotional appeal, Katie. We have to think about this logically. Why can't it be both logical and caring? Katie asked. The Zelani are offering to be our friends and helpers and family. They want to share everything they have with us. They just want us to promise that we won't let bullies destroy them. That sounds like a good deal to me. President Santos stood up, signaling that she was ready to make her position known. Katie, if Earth accepts this protectorate agreement, what would you like to do? Where would you like to live? Katie smiled for the first time during the session. I want to start a school. A place where human kids and Zelani younglings can learn together. I want to teach humans how to speak light song, and teach Zelani how to play human games. I want to help both species understand each other better. That's a beautiful idea, President Santos said warmly. Dr. Grant, is such a school feasible? More than feasible, Madam President. Katie has already demonstrated that humans and Zelani can learn from each other remarkably well. A formal interspecies educational program could benefit both civilizations immensely. The debate continued for 6 more hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt after Katie's testimony. When the final vote was called, The Terran Senate approved the Protectorate Agreement by a margin of 187 to 13. The formal signing ceremony took place simultaneously on Earth and Zephyria, with Katie serving as witness for both worlds. President Santos signed the document in the Terran Senate chamber, while Supreme Resonance Threnaxis touched his crystal appendage to a harmonic resonance crystal on Zephyria. By the authority of the Terran government and the will of humanity, President Santos declared, "We formally accept the Zilani people as our protectorates and allies. We pledge to defend their worlds, their people, and their way of life as we would defend our own." The crystal forests of Zephyria sang celebration songs that could be heard across 3 continents. On Earth, crowds gathered in cities around the world to watch the historic ceremony. But for Katie, the most important moment came after all the official ceremonies ended. She sat in her crystal garden on Zephyria, video calling her human grandmother on Earth. "I'm proud of you, sweetie," Grandma Miller said through the communication link. "You've helped make history today." "I just told them the truth, Grandma," Katie replied. "The Zilani are good people who need friends, and humans are good people who should help their friends." As the celebration continued around her, Katie began planning her interspecies school. She would teach human children the beauty of Zilani light song and crystal growing. She would teach young Zilani about human creativity and determination. Most importantly, she would teach both species that family wasn't limited by biology or planet of origin. General Stone established the first joint human-Zilani defense protocols within a month of the agreement. Zilani crystal ships began patrolling human space alongside Terran Defense Fleet vessels. Human military advisors worked with Zilani commanders to develop new battle tactics that combined human strategic thinking with Zilani technological capabilities. Dr. Grant founded the Interspecies Research Institute, where human and Zilani scientists worked together on projects that neither species could have accomplished alone. Their first breakthrough was a new type of faster-than-light communication system that used harmonic crystals to send messages instantly across galactic distances. But perhaps the most important change was the simplest one. The Terran Defense Fleet began broadcasting a new message to all ships in human space. Earth protects those who cannot protect themselves. Peaceful species seeking safety are welcome to petition for protectorate status. It was a message that would soon attract attention from across the galaxy, as other vulnerable civilizations learned that there was finally a major power willing to stand up to bullies and predators. Katie Miller, now 11 years old and fluent in both human speech and Zilani light song, had become the bridge between worlds. Her school would soon welcome its first students, human children eager to learn alien ways of thinking, and young Zilani curious about human emotions and creativity. The girl who had once hidden in the ruins of her destroyed home was now helping to build something entirely new. The first truly multi-species civilization in galactic history, and it had all started with one simple act of kindness toward a frightened child who had lost everything and found a new kind of family among the stars. 2 years had passed since Earth accepted the Zilani as protectorates. Katie was now 12 years old and director of the Luna Interspecies Academy, the school she had dreamed of creating. The facility orbited Earth's moon, with crystal gardens grown by Zilani students alongside traditional human classrooms, where young beings from both species learned together. Katie stood in her office, looking out at the strange but beautiful sight of human children and young Zilani playing together in the zero-gravity recreation dome. The kids had invented games that worked for both species, light tag using Zilani crystals, and story singing where humans told tales while Zilani provided musical accompaniment. Her peaceful morning was interrupted by an urgent communication from Admiral Jack Bennett, now head of the expanded Terran Defense Fleet. His hologram appeared in her office, his expression grim. "Katie, we need you to review some messages that have been coming in from across the galaxy," Admiral Bennett said without preamble. "Word about our protectorate agreement with the Zilani has spread further than we expected." Katie activated her desk's holographic display and began reading the translated messages. The first was from a species called the Keth, aquatic beings whose ocean worlds were being strip-mined by something called the Hegemony Consortium. To the humans of Earth, the message read, "We have heard that you protect peaceful species from those who would harm them. Our world oceans are being destroyed by the Hegemony. They take our water and kill our coral cities. We offer our knowledge of biomedicine and healing arts in exchange for protection. The second message was even more desperate. It came from beings called the Tiny Builders, insectoid creatures whose entire civilization lived in massive hive cities. Great humans, their message began. The Supremacy Alliance comes to destroy our hives because they want our worlds for military bases. We are small, but we can build anything you need. We can make your ships stronger, your cities better. Please help us. We do not want to die. Katie felt her heart break as she read message after message. The feathered ones whose flying cities were being shot down for sport. The rock singers whose mountain homes were being blasted apart for mining. The dream weavers whose telepathic children were being captured and sold as living computers. How many messages are there? Katie asked quietly. 37 so far, Admiral Bennett replied, and more coming in every day. It seems like half the galaxy is crying out for protection from the other half. Katie sat down heavily in her chair. She had wanted Earth to help the Zilani, but she hadn't imagined it would lead to this. The responsibility felt enormous. What does President Santos want to do? Katie asked. She wants to hear from you first, Admiral Bennett said. You're the one who convinced us to protect the Zilani. The government wants to know if you think we should extend protection to other species too. Katie was quiet for a long time, reading through the desperate messages. Each one represented an entire civilization facing destruction. Millions or billions of lives hanging in the balance. Finally, she looked up at Admiral Bennett. Can we protect them all? That's the question, isn't it? The Admiral replied. Our military is strong, but we're just one species. Even with Zilani help, we can't be everywhere at once. What if we didn't have to be everywhere at once? Katie asked, an idea forming in her mind. What if we helped them protect each other? Over the next month, Katie worked with Dr. Susan Lee of the Xenopsychology Institute to develop something unprecedented, the Species Integration Protocols. Instead of Earth providing direct military protection to every vulnerable species, they would create a network of mutual defense. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Each species that joined the human protectorate would contribute their unique abilities to the collective defense. The Keth could provide medical support and underwater bases. The Tiny Builders could construct better ships and space stations. The Rock Singers could create fortress worlds and asteroid fields. Katie presented the plan to President Santos via quantum communication from Luna Academy. Think of it like a big family, Katie explained, using her gift for making complex ideas simple. Each family member has different talents. Mom might be good at cooking. Dad might be good at fixing things. The kids might be good at different subjects in school. But when the family is in trouble, everyone uses their talents to help. President Santos leaned forward with interest. So Earth would be like the parent in this galactic family? More like the big brother, Katie corrected. The one who's strong enough to stand up to bullies but smart enough to help everyone else get stronger too. The first test of the new system came sooner than expected. The Hegemony Consortium launched a massive assault on 3 Keth ocean worlds simultaneously, thinking that Earth couldn't possibly defend multiple locations at once. They were wrong. Admiral Bennett coordinated the defense from his flagship, the Terran vessel Guardian. But the real innovation was how the different protectorate species worked together. Zilani crystal ships provided long-range energy weapons and communication networks. Keth bioships could repair damage to other vessels during battle, their living hulls growing back stronger than before. Human ships used their superior tactical systems to coordinate attacks, and the newly arrived Tiny Builder swarm craft executed precision strikes that disabled enemy vessels instead of destroying them. Katie watched the battle from Luna Academy, serving as the communications hub that allowed all the different species to understand each other during combat. Her unique ability to translate between different alien languages and thought patterns made her invaluable. Keith, Commander, the Zilani need you to focus your healing ships on Grid 7, Katie relayed. Tiny Builder swarms, Admiral Bennett wants you to target the Hegemony command vessel's weapon systems, not their engines. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Hegemony fleet was defeated, and not a single protectorate world had been lost. More importantly, the different alien species had learned to fight as a unified force. But the real victory came afterward, when the defeated Hegemony crews were taken prisoner instead of being destroyed. Katie had insisted on this, arguing that even bad aliens might change their minds if they were treated with kindness instead of cruelty. She was right. Within weeks, several hegemony soldiers defected to the Protectorate, providing intelligence about other planned attacks. Some even requested asylum on Protectorate worlds, tired of a life spent destroying peaceful civilizations. News of the multi-species victory spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. More species petitioned to join the human Protectorate every day. The feathered ones brought their mastery of atmospheric flight. The rock singers contributed their knowledge of mining and construction. The Dreamweavers offered their telepathic communication abilities. By Katie's 13th birthday, the human Protectorate included 23 different species, each contributing their unique strengths to the collective defense and prosperity of all member worlds. Katie celebrated her birthday at Luna Academy, surrounded by friends from dozens of different species. Human children sang happy birthday while young Zilani provided crystal light shows. Tiny builder hatchlings built her an intricate sculpture from metal scraps, while Keth younglings performed underwater dances in the school's aquarium domes. Make a wish, her friend Tommy Chen said as Katie prepared to blow out the candles. On her very human birthday cake, Katie closed her eyes and thought about her wish. 3 years ago, she had been a frightened child hiding in ruins. Now she was surrounded by friends from across the galaxy, all of them living together in peace because they had learned to protect each other. I wish, Katie said quietly, that every kid in the galaxy could have friends like this. As she blew out the candles, Katie didn't know that her wish was already starting to come true. On Protectorate worlds throughout the galaxy, children from different species were learning to play together, study together, and understand that differences in appearance didn't matter as much as similarities in kindness. Dr. Lee, who had been documenting the social changes brought about by the Protectorate system, made a note in her research journal. The Katie Miller model is working beyond our wildest expectations. She proved that you don't need conquest or dominance to create a galactic civilization. You just need compassion, cooperation, and the courage to protect those who cannot protect themselves. But even as they celebrated their successes, everyone knew that the real test was still coming. The aggressive species of the galaxy were watching the growing human Protectorate with increasing alarm. Soon they would have to decide whether to compete with this new model of civilization or try to destroy it. The network Katie had helped create was strong, but it was about to face its greatest challenge yet. The War Council meeting on the Vorthak flagship Death's Crown brought together the most feared military leaders in the galaxy. Emperor Krexvorth, supreme ruler of the Vorthak Empire, sat at the head of the dark metal table while representatives from 6 other aggressive species presented their reports. The humans have created something dangerous, hissed General Zixthale of the Supremacy Alliance, her serpentine form coiled with anger. Their Protectorate now includes 31 species. They are spreading their weakness philosophy across the galaxy. It is not weakness that concerns me, rumbled War Chief Hazmalik of the Iron Dominion, his massive armored form bristling with weapons. It is effectiveness. They defeated the Hegemony Consortium with minimal losses. Their combined fleets are becoming a real threat. Emperor Krexvorth activated a holographic display showing the expansion of human protected space over the past 2 years. Red zones marking aggressive empires were being steadily surrounded by green zones representing Protectorate worlds. The problem is not military, the Emperor stated with cold certainty. The problem is ideological. These humans offer protection without conquest, alliance without submission. It makes our conquered species ask dangerous questions about why they serve us through fear instead of choice. Queen Velnara of the Shadow Cartel leaned forward, her dark form barely visible even in the council chamber's bright lights. 3 of my slave worlds have already sent secret messages to the humans requesting asylum. This infection of hope must be stopped before it spreads further. Then we are agreed, Emperor Krexvorth declared. The human Protectorate must be destroyed completely, not just defeated, but eliminated so thoroughly that no other species will dare to copy their model. The plan they developed was brutal in its simplicity. All 7 aggressive empires would attack simultaneously, targeting every Protectorate world at once. The humans couldn't possibly defend 31 different species spread across hundreds of star systems. They would be forced to choose which allies to save and which to sacrifice. And once the protected species saw that human promises were empty, the entire alliance would collapse. 3 weeks later, Katie Miller stood in the command center of Luna Academy, now 16 years old and serving as chief xenocultural advisor to the Terran Defense Fleet. Her academy had become much more than a school. It was the communication hub for the entire Protectorate network. Admiral Bennett appeared on the main holographic display, his expression grim. Katie, our deep space sensors have detected massive fleet movements from all the major aggressive empires. They're coordinating something big. How big? Katie asked, though she already suspected the answer from the Admiral's tone. Every hostile species in the galaxy, moving to attack positions around every Protectorate world simultaneously. We estimate they'll strike in 6 hours. Katie felt her heart sink. This was the nightmare scenario they had all feared but hoped would never come. How could Earth protect dozens of worlds scattered across the galaxy when faced with overwhelming enemy forces? What are our options? Katie asked. Militarily? We don't have any good ones, Admiral Bennett admitted. We can maybe defend Earth and a few core worlds, but we'll have to abandon most of our protectorates. I'm sorry, Katie. We just don't have enough ships. But Katie was already working at her communication console, sending messages through the quantum network that connected all Protectorate worlds. Admiral, how long would it take to evacuate the civilian populations from threatened worlds? With our current transport capacity, months. We have hours. Katie's fingers flew over the holographic controls as she connected to species representatives across the galaxy. Then we don't evacuate. We do something else. Katie, what are you thinking? Admiral Bennett asked with concern. I'm thinking that we've been looking at this all wrong, Katie replied, her voice growing stronger with certainty. The enemy expects us to try to protect everyone by spreading our forces thin. But what if we don't protect the worlds? What if we protect the people? Within 2 hours, the most ambitious evacuation in galactic history was underway. But it wasn't happening the way anyone expected. On Keth Ocean worlds, the aquatic beings weren't fleeing to human transport ships. Instead, they were loading themselves and their most precious belongings into their bioships and diving deep into space, using their natural ability to survive in the void for extended periods. On tiny builder hive worlds, the insectoid populations weren't waiting for rescue. Their swarm ships were lifting entire city hives into orbit, turning civilian habitats into mobile space fortresses. The Zilani were using their crystal technology to grow temporary habitats in asteroid fields. The rock singers were carving out shelters in the hearts of dead moons. The feathered ones were creating floating cities in the upper atmospheres of gas giants. They're not running away, Dr. Lee observed with amazement as she watched the massive coordination effort from Luna Academy. They're turning themselves into a mobile civilization. Katie smiled with pride as she watched her friend's species working together. They learned from humans. When someone tries to destroy your home, you make a new home somewhere else. But you don't do it alone. The attack began exactly when the aggressive empires had planned. Vorthak battleships arrived at Zephyria to find empty crystal cities. Supremacy Alliance fleets reached tiny builder worlds to discover vacant hive structures. Iron Dominion armadas found nothing but empty buildings on Rocksinger mining worlds. Emperor Krex IV stared at the tactical displays aboard his flagship with growing fury. Where are they? The scans show no life signs on any of the Protectorate worlds. They appear to have evacuated, my lord, reported his tactical officer. But our intelligence indicates they don't have enough transport ships for such a massive operation. The answer came from an unexpected source. Fleet Admiral Tony Martinez, commanding the human fleet from his flagship Defender, opened a communication channel to all enemy forces. Attention hostile fleets. Admiral Martinez broadcast calmly. You came here to destroy worlds and kill civilians. But the worlds are empty, and the civilians are safe under our protection. So what exactly are you planning to accomplish? We will hunt them down wherever they hide. Emperor Krexvorth snarled in response. We will destroy every ship, every habitat, every trace of this alliance. You're welcome to try. Katie's voice cut in on the communication channel. But first, let me show you something. The space around Earth suddenly filled with ships. Not just human vessels, but thousands of craft from every Protectorate species. Keth bioships that could heal battle damage. Zilani crystal ships with devastating energy weapons. Tiny builder swarm craft that could disassemble enemy vessels molecule by molecule. Rocksinger fortress ships with impenetrable armor. Feathered One wind riders that moved faster than anything in space. This is what you're really fighting, Katie continued, her young voice carrying across the entire battlefield. Not scattered worlds you can attack one by one, but a united family that protects each other. Every species you threatened is here, ready to defend their friends and their way of life. The Battle of Terra became the largest space engagement in galactic history. 7 aggressive empires brought their entire fleets to crush the human protectorate. Instead, they found themselves facing a unified force that fought with coordination they had never imagined possible. Katie served as the communication nexus for the entire battle, translating between dozens of species and coordinating attacks that required split-second timing. Human tactical expertise guided Keth healing ships to injured vessels. Zilani energy weapons carved paths for tiny builder precision strikes. Rocksinger fortress ships provided mobile cover while Feathered One scouts relayed enemy positions. The turning point came when Emperor Krexvorth himself led a final assault on Admiral Martinez's flagship. The Vorthak Emperor expected to face human weapons and human tactics. Instead, his ship was swarmed by tiny builder craft that began systematically disassembling his engines, while Keth bioships used their healing abilities in reverse, causing the enemy hull to decay and weaken. "This is impossible," the Emperor raged as his mighty battleship was taken apart around him. "How can so many different species fight as one?" Katie's voice answered him through the communication system of his failing ship. "The same way so many different kinds of people can be part of one family, with love, trust, and the promise that we'll always protect each other." The Emperor's ship was disabled, not destroyed. Following Katie's insistence on mercy over revenge, the aggressive Empire leaders were taken prisoner instead of being killed. The defeat was complete, but not genocidal. As the enemy fleets retreated or surrendered, Katie stood in the command center of Luna Academy and watched something beautiful. Ships from 31 different species, some damaged but all victorious, flying in formation around Earth. They had come together to defend their shared values, and they had won. "Status report," Admiral Martinez requested as the immediate battle concluded. "All protectorate species accounted for," Katie replied, tears of relief in her eyes. "Some casualties but no worlds lost, no species destroyed. The family is intact." But even as they celebrated their victory, everyone knew this was only the 5 years after the Battle of Terra, Katie Miller stood at the podium of the First Galactic Assembly, looking out at representatives from over 200 different species. At 21, she had grown into a confident young woman, whose unique upbringing made her the perfect ambassador for the new galactic order. The assembly was meeting on Haven, the former capital world of the Vorthak Empire. The planet had been renamed after the defeated Emperor Krexvorth chose exile over execution, and his people voted to join the human protectorate rather than face the chaos of imperial collapse. Katie wore formal attire that honored both her human heritage and her Zilani upbringing, a earth blue dress decorated with living crystal patterns that shifted color as she moved. Around her throat was a translator collar that would automatically convert her words into the languages of every species present. "Friends and family," Katie began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast crystal amphitheater that the Zilani had grown for this historic occasion. 5 years ago, most of you didn't know that other species existed. Today we gather as members of the largest peaceful alliance in galactic history. In the audience, she could see familiar faces from across the years. Admiral Bennett, now retired but serving as director of the Protectorate Academy. Dr. Grant and Dr. Lee, whose research had helped dozens of species integrate peacefully. Captain Hayes, who had become the first commander of the Interspecies Exploration Fleet. But most importantly, she could see Prism Vel and Echo Rim in the Zilani section, their crystal bodies glowing with pride as they watched their adopted daughter address the galaxy. "When the Zilani found me hiding in the ruins of my colony," Katie continued, "they didn't see a strange alien child. They saw someone who needed help. That simple act of kindness changed everything." President Maria Santos, now in her final term, sat in the Earth delegation and smiled as Katie spoke. The young woman who had once convinced a planet to accept alien refugees was now helping to reshape galactic civilization itself. "Today, I want to announce the Universal Protection Doctrine," Katie said, and the entire assembly fell silent. "From this day forward, any peaceful species facing extinction, enslavement, or destruction can petition the Terran Protectorate for protection. We will evaluate each request based on 3 simple principles." Katie activated a holographic display that showed the 3 principles in the languages of every species present. "First, Do you seek to protect life or destroy it? Second, are you willing to contribute your unique abilities to help others? Third, will you treat all member species with respect and equality, regardless of their physical form or cultural differences? The Keth representative, Ambassador Tidesong, raised one of her aquatic appendages to ask a question. Ambassador Katie, what if a species cannot contribute militarily to our defense? What if they have no weapons or warrior traditions? Katie smiled at the question. Ambassador Tidesong, your people contribute healing and biomedicine that has saved thousands of lives. The tiny builders create the habitats and ships we all depend on. The rock singers mine the materials we need. The dream weavers provide communication networks. Every species has something valuable to offer, even if it's not weapons. A commotion in the back of the assembly caught everyone's attention. A new delegation was entering the amphitheater. Members of the Silence Keepers, a mysterious species that had never before made contact with other civilizations. The Silence Keepers were tall, thin beings who communicated through patterns of bioluminescent lights on their skin. They had no mouths or vocal cords and had been thought to be completely isolationist. Katie watched as the Silence Keepers approached the center of the assembly. Their leader, who flickered with nervous light patterns, managed to activate a translation device. We have watched from afar. The device translated the light patterns into words. We have seen what you build together. We wish to be part of this family. The assembly erupted in surprised discussions. The Silence Keepers had been observing galactic civilization for centuries, but had never interacted with anyone. What could have convinced them to break their isolation now? Katie stepped down from the podium and approached the Silence Keeper delegation. She had learned over the years that sometimes the most important diplomacy happened person to person, not government to government. Welcome, Katie said simply. What made you decide to join us? The Silence Keeper leader's bioluminescent patterns shifted to what Katie recognized as emotional distress. The translation device spoke, "Our children. Ask questions we cannot answer. They see your young ones learning from many species, growing strong in knowledge and friendship. Our children ask why they cannot have such friends. We no longer have good answers." Katie felt tears come to her eyes. Even after all these years, it still amazed her how the simple desire for connection could bridge any gap between species. Your children will have friends, Katie promised, as many as they want, from as many worlds as they want to visit. As the Silence Keepers were formally welcomed into the Protectorate, Katie returned to the podium to conclude her address. 10 years ago, I was a frightened child who had lost everything, she said, her voice strong but gentle. The Zilani taught me that family isn't about biology or where you come from. Family is about who chooses to love you and protect you. Today, our family includes 47 different species, with more asking to join every month. She paused and looked around the assembly, making eye contact with representatives from worlds across the galaxy. But we're not here to rule the galaxy or impose our will on anyone. We're here to prove that there's a better way to live together, a way based on cooperation instead of conquest, protection instead of predation, love instead of fear. The holographic display behind Katie showed images from across Protectorate space, human children playing with young Zilani in crystal gardens, Keth scholars working alongside tiny builder engineers, rock singer artists teaching Feathered One musicians to create new forms of beauty. The Vorthak Empire was built on the idea that strength comes from making others afraid of you, Katie continued. But we've learned something different. Real strength comes from making others happy to stand beside you. Emperor Krexforth himself, now living in comfortable exile on Haven and working as a counselor for other former tyrants seeking redemption, watched Katie's speech from his modest home. The old warrior had learned slowly and painfully that the human approach to power was far more effective than anything he had achieved through fear and violence. Some of you may be wondering what comes next, Katie said as her speech neared its conclusion. The answer is simple: we keep growing. We keep learning. We keep protecting those who cannot protect themselves, and we keep proving that the galaxy is big enough for everyone to find a place where they belong. As Katie finished her speech, something unprecedented happened. Representatives from 47 different species began to sing, each in their own way. Humans sang with their voices, Zilani with harmonic crystal resonances, Keth with bioacoustic vibrations, tiny builders with coordinated wing beats that created musical patterns. The song had no words that could be translated, but its meaning was universal: gratitude, hope, and determination to build something better together. Later that evening, Katie walked through the gardens of Haven with her closest friends and family. The former Vorthak capital had been transformed into something beautiful. Crystal spires grew alongside metal sculptures, aquatic parks hosted Keth communities, and the sky was filled with the gentle lights of feathered one-aerial cities. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if the Zilani hadn't found you?" asked Tommy Chen, her childhood friend who now served as director of interspecies cultural exchange. Katie considered the question as she watched Zilani younglings teaching human children to grow crystal flowers. "I think someone else would have started this eventually," she said finally. The galaxy was ready for a different way of doing things. It just needed someone to take the first step. And that someone was a scared 8-year-old hiding in the ruins, Tommy observed with a smile. "No," Katie corrected gently. "That someone was every person who chose kindness over cruelty, protection over conquest, family over fear. I was just lucky enough to be in the right place when it all began." As the twin moons of Haven rose over the transformed world, Katie made her way to the new Protectorate Academy campus, where the next generation of galactic citizens were learning to live together in peace. The academy now hosted students from over 60 species, all of them learning that differences in appearance, culture, and biology were far less important than similarities in hope, curiosity, and compassion. In her private office, Katie made her final entry in the journal she had kept since childhood. "Today we welcomed the Silence Keepers into our family, bringing our total membership to 47 species. But numbers don't tell the real story. The real story is about second chances, about learning that everyone deserves to be safe, happy, and loved, about discovering that the scariest monsters often just need someone to show them a better way to live." The little girl who hid in the ruins of New Haven Colony couldn't have imagined any of this, but she would be proud to know that her rescue led to so many others being rescued too, not just from physical danger but from loneliness, despair,